Good evening and welcome to ELOsoFumarTakes. This is our 312th take live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star Studio of Azle, Texas. I'm your host, Barry Duplessis, as always, and I'm so proud, so pleased, and so privileged to be with you all tonight. This is going to be a fantastic show. We promised a year of firsts, and we are kicking things off with a bang. We've got a first-time guest here tonight, and I'm so pleased to have this guest of honor be gracing us with her presence tonight. But before we get to formal introductions of our guest of honor, we do have to thank the people that make this show possible, and that, of course, is our sponsors. And tonight's show is sponsored by Drew Estate. Drew Estate has done it once again, introducing the new broadleaf Gordo by Nica Rustica. While certain packaging changes and elements have changed throughout the years, the Nica Rustica brand proudly remains Drew Estate's tribute to the people of Esteli, Nicaragua. Moreover, the Nica Rustica broadleaf blend remains unchanged, preserving its rustic, spicy, and robust flavor profile, and always at an affordable price. Nica Rustica broadleaf is wrapped in a Connecticut River Valley wrapper, Mexican San Andreas binder, and contains Nicaraguan filler tobaccos from Esteli and Jalapa. Considered a straightforward power puncher, the new Gordo 6x60 is a big cigar with big, fat flavors. It's just a flavor bomb, exclaims Jonathan Drew, founder and president of Drew Estate. So check out your Drew Diplomat retailer today for the all-new Nica Rustica 6x60 Gordo, available at all your favorite Drew Diplomat retailers right now, today. And welcome, everybody. This is our 312th take. And we are broadcasting live on Facebook as we do every Sunday evening, an hour early this week, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern, normally 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. But we are broadcasting live from Facebook. You can always check us out wherever you listen to podcasts later on. You can download, subscribe, and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Know that tonight's audio broadcast is brought to you by Grand Habano Cigars. Honest, compassionate, great cigars. Be sure you download, subscribe, and review today. Thanks to our good friends at Grand Habano Cigars. If you're checking us out on our YouTube channel later, our YouTube and video broadcast is brought to you by Foundation Cigars. And tonight's guest is brought to you by United Cigar. Smoke one today and start living united. Without further ado, Miss Janine Perdomo from Perdomo Cigars. Janine, how are you doing tonight?
Doing wonderful. Thank you for having me, Bear. I really appreciate it so much. I'm honored.
The honor is mine, Janine. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. This has been an interview that I've long wanted to do, and thank you so much for agreeing to come on. It's just it's been wonderful. So, we're gonna get through. We're gonna get to a couple of obviously things, the Perdomo story from your perspective here in a little bit. But do like to just kind of chit chat here to kind of break things off. You were so kind to agree to be on tonight and everything, and I apologize to my audience. I will not be joining the throngs of your fans tonight smoking a Perdomo cigar, but I do have one of my favorites here. I got the new Perdomo 30th Connecticut here, so I'm going to take Nick's advice, who's like, go ahead, and he's like, why don't you chew on one? I said, absolutely. Because if I can't smoke after being sick, I can at least have some fantastic cigar with me at all times. So
Bear, look, I have the exact same one, and we didn't even plan it.
oh, perfect. So yeah, that was what I was going to ask you. Like, what do you go through like phases where you're like a couple of weeks, you favor a particular cigar, or like how, like, over the years, like how has your smoking career been, like, your experience been typically?
Well, honestly, like, just to start, when I wasn't an avid cigar smoker, and like most people, male or female, my first experience wasn't very good, and turned quite green. And this was even before I met my husband, with some girlfriends messing around with her father's Italian cigars as a teenager. And I was like, oh gosh, I don't think I'll ever smoke again. But when Nick and I started our business, obviously I had little kids. It wasn't like I had a lot of time to sit and enjoy a cigar. But when we put Nicholas down to bed, we had our nightly ritual where we sit out in our backyard on this wooden swing. I have a monitor, and I'd make him a coffee. We'd sit there, and he would light up a cigar, and I would take puffs, and gradually was able to have my own, that I wanted to have my own.
Okay.
But I started off honestly with Perdomo Reserve Champagne, which
Mhm.
I still enjoy almost every day. It's like one of my go-to cigars.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love I love it, but I was like I went on the Maduro kick for a while. I was like all Maduro, smoking all the Maduros in our humidor. And my husband was like, "Hey, where did all the Maduros go?" And I'm like, "I
I
like
have no
them."
idea. That Nicholas, man, gosh, he's a sneaky guy. Just came in
I
here
know,
and took us
right?
all. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I should blame him.
Um, no, that's really. I have to imagine like obviously I don't run my own cigar company or anything, but I have to imagine that like especially we've talked about the with Nick and Nicholas and Arthur over the years and stuff. We've talked about the quality and everything, how it's just exemplary. But it's got to be such a welcome if you, a welcome back to like especially if you forego it for a little bit, like even if it's a couple of days, but coming back to it, it's got to be such a great feeling. Because I know that that's what's really great about my experience. I've told you and your family this before too, is like where and I've done it before. I've gone on runs because I smoke a lot of different cigars, a lot of different companies and stuff, and it's an imperfect product, but like I've gone on runs where I just can't find a good cigar. And it's like if I come back to a Perdomo, you kind of find your center. Like you come back
Oh,
to
thank you.
you come back to reality a little bit
That's
when you
sweet. What a
so
nice thing to say. I appreciate that. Yeah, I love that's what honestly, I'm spoiled because um, our cigars to me are the best cigars in the world. And I don't say that with any arrogance. I say that honestly because I know what goes into each one and the passion that our family and our workers put into every aspect of our cigar making, whether it's the growing of the cigar leaves, the aging of the tobaccos, the rolling of the cigars, or to even the packaging, to the salesmanship, to everything that we do. I look at this cigar and I think about what it means, to us all, not just Perdomos, like our whole, to me, our family is such a wide, it's not just us by blood.
mhm.
Our workers, our partners in retail, our consumers, they're part of our family. Honest to God, we feel very connected. We feel so grateful because without them, obviously, we can't do what we love. And I think that people who ever speak with any of us, whether it's my husband, my son, Arthur, um, or any of our salespeople, they know the passion that we all have and that we every day we try to, you know, that's all we try to do is just make the best cigars that we can and provide service to our partners and good cigars to the people who enjoy them. So that's our passion. That's what motivates us every day.
I was just gonna say that I think that's kind of what it's become over the years. I've done a number of shows with people from the family and but I've also done events with y'all. I've worked on the retail side and alongside you guys and I've obviously been to trade shows and everything as well too and that's what it feels like. It feels like whenever we come into a booth or come to a trade show or whenever I'm just around. It feels like I feel like part of the family, but it feels like everyone else is around is also part of a family. Um, and if you guys hadn't, built such a great name of the Perdomo Army, and you might have to change that to Perdomo Family, but Perdomo Army I love the ring to it. It sounds better. So,
Well, you know where that started, right?
no, actually, I don't. But I mean, I've always loved it. I like it. I mean, the following is strong, so that's where I kind of came up with in my head at least. No, what was the origin?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you're familiar with the band Kiss.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, Kiss has an army.
Right. Okay.
And so my husband was like a big fan growing up. We all were. And it just sort of like, because their following goes from little kids to older people. and they have quite a following. And we said, hey, well, we should have the Perdomo Army. And so took a little page out of Kiss's book.
That's awesome. I love that. And I mean, that's a great homage too, because I know what a great what great music fans you all are too.
Oh,
So,
we love it. We were just in Las Vegas for the Tears for Fears concert.
mm,
They just started. They were at the Fountain Blue, and Nick and I really we enjoy music and
oh,
we listen to all kinds of music. So
I know Coop is burning with envy if he missed out on the Tears for Fears concert with you guys. So,
that's right. He's a fan. I know
he's a huge fan, huge fan. Oh, that's awesome. Well, let's dive in here into tonight's major point, which is always
Okay.
brought to you by Gran Habano Cigars. From the fertile lands of Honduras, George Rico and his family have put together the very best vintages for you. Yes, you. The cigar smoker, from value-based hits like Corojo Number 5 to the award-winning 20th anniversary to special projects like Zulu Zulu, Gran Habano is about cultivating the best and making pinnacle cigars for the market. Culture, tradition, premium handcrafted Gran Habano cigars. And again, want to apologize to everyone if I sound a little funny. I have been under the weather this week, so but was not going to miss this on this chance to interview Janine on my life. So I was
Oh,
grateful for the opportunity. In fact, we talked a little bit about the Perdomo family, extended family, and everything, Janine. Well, you and I talked about this before we went live. We're not going to divulge the name of the individual because their family hasn't had the opportunity to make it public. You and I are aware of that we lost a very, very good friend this morning that we would both
okay.
consider family. So I would like to dedicate the show to that individual and know that they'll be sorely missed. And at a future later date, after the family has had an opportunity to make it public and to grieve and everything, there'll be a well-deserving tribute for this individual. But we miss him.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, our thoughts and prayers are with the family.
for sure. So but kind of diving in here, Janine, we're gonna kind of go back and forth along timelines here and everything. But I kind of wanted to. I thought this was an interesting apex is probably the wrong word because you guys certainly not done, and this certainly wasn't the I wouldn't say it's the apex of your career, nor was it the apex of Perdomo Cigars. But 2020 being named the Tobacco Business Woman of the Year was certainly a very, very well deserving moment for you and for the Perdomo family, I thought. I know that Coop and I were very excited to kind of see that accolade be bestowed upon you. I thought it was well deserved. Um,
Thank
and I know you guys have pretty big respect for that publication, but like to be recognized by something like that, for not for for an individual award like that, this isn't like a cigar of the year or a brand of the year, which you guys have won numerous of those as well. This was you singular as a person. I mean, what did that honor feel like?
Well, honestly, it was just very overwhelming, and I was kind of, it's I'm a type of person that I'm always behind the scenes, and I like it there. I don't like being up front and in the face. I love to be a supporting cast. So to be publicly recognized was overwhelming. It was really beautiful, and I was very, very, very appreciative. And they told me like it was a landslide, which I was like, wow, that was crazy, and sort of like Trump.
Yeah, good comparison. Yeah, from Tuesday. Yeah, definitely. Great. I think you might have won by a greater margin if that's I mean and that's pretty big. So there you go. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have the ballots, but like
I
but
don't
no,
know,
but
but
no,
he
I
told
read that.
me.
That was actually part of the article too, was that you won by a landslide. And but that was I think to your point though, Janine, about like the fact that you've liked working in the background for all these years and everything, but I think you guys have always been very welcoming and you've always had this like very open door policy that's probably made that choice very easy once you were nominated for it.
Thank
So,
you. Thank
so
you. Well, I've been there the whole time alongside Nick from the very beginning, um, basically building something from nothing.
right.
So it was just like a dream come true. And the things that we all, each of us, Nick is always had the vision,
Hmm.
and I was a supporting cast, but I think that I brought to the business a side that he couldn't do, and he does things that I cannot do. And we both respect each other's gifts and what we're good at. And I think that that combination together and what his gifts are and mine are was a great combination for business.
Hmm. A great team for sure. Well, let's go back a little bit because I wanted to I've Nick's mentioned in interviews snippets and stuff. So because he's talked about how what a great cook you are, and I believe I believe you have it. You have Italian roots and everything.
Yeah.
Where's Janine from? Where did life start? Are you born and raised in Florida? Like I'm not even sure I know that. Like where?
No, I'm half Irish. My half Irish and half Italian,
Okay,
and I was born in New Jersey. Um, and I moved to Florida when I was 3.
okay,
And, yeah, and I did grow up pretty much in Florida, but not in Miami. I lived in Fort Lauderdale, which is a little north of here. But I didn't live there for long because I met Nick when I just turned 18 and married him when I was 19. So
that's awesome. So you got out of the cold like most people. I guess you couldn't stand Jersey for that long either. You had to get down to Florida even at the age of 3. What was it?
yeah,
Did your parents come down for work, or what brought them to Florida?
yeah. My dad used to work for a company called Grand Union, and they were expanding uh, to Florida, and so he took the opportunity and moved us down. We were the only ones here from our both sides of the family, my mother's and my father's, and um, it was hard at first because they both have huge families, lots
Hmm.
of aunts and uncles and cousins, and so it was difficult. But we ended up staying here. All of us we all lived here. We never moved back, and I love Florida. I mean, it's home for me, and I'm so grateful to live in a state like Florida, to be quite honest with you.
That's awesome. That makes a lot of sense now because I remember when I was in town, I think a couple years ago, it was during St. Patrick's Day, and you had planned like a big family shindig, and I remember the pictures and stuff, and I was like, and I don't know, I didn't find it odd. I was like, oh, that's interesting, that she's really into St. Patrick's Day, but that kind of explains that you're half Irish. So, did you do that? Did you guys have a lot of did you have a lot of mixed family celebrations growing up? A lot of mixed family traditions like St. Patrick's Day and other holidays. Was that kind of like the way you grew up?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a person who really loves the holidays, and I always, like to host and bring family together any chance that I can. I believe that, especially as a mother, the mother is the part of the home, and it's not my duty, but I think it's my responsibility to keep the family always together. So I love to host whatever holiday I can, and my children have um, the exact same sort of ideals too. And my son and his beautiful wife Lauren, they'll host Thanksgiving, and my daughter and her husband Andrew will host Easter, and I'll do Christmas morning. We're always getting together, celebrating whatever holiday we can, because it's all about family at the end of the day. And anytime we can get together, it's just an absolute joy.
That's awesome. Yeah, I thought that was really great. Someone in the chat said that you make the best corned beef and cabbage ever. So,
Oh,
um,
that's my daughter.
um, I gotta try that at some point. So I think. I
I'll have you over if you're over in
I
Miami.
think I have to make that happen now. Like that just yeah. There's something I'm not Irish. There's something about that meal though. My parents would always do corned beef and cabbage on St. Patrick's Day. And every time that
Yeah.
topic comes up, there's something about that meal. And anytime that I have it, I'm like, it's very nostalgic for me for some reason. And then, like, I have no reason for it to be so. Like, again, I'm not Irish or anything like that. But it's so good. And when it's well made, and yeah, I absolutely love it.
It's
Um,
really good.
but all this Irish, Italian, everything like that. But what I heard though, your first job actually was at a Chinese restaurant. Was that correct?
Yes.
So how did that happen? You just needed a job and they were hiring or what? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I remember I was a young teenager and I was walking in this shopping center and saw this new restaurant. They needed help, and I went inside and I asked if what I could do, and they put me to wash dishes.
oh, see, they missed out. They could have had you cooking. They could have done something. That
Well, yeah, but I did learn how to do cooking
okay.
and make wontons and how to clean the snow peas. And then they shortly after that they put me up to waitress, and I worked there all throughout high school.
That's awesome. Oh, so you were so it was more a couple of years that you did
Oh yeah.
some time there. That's awesome. What was your favorite thing that you learned to cook there?
Well, I can make a mean wonton. They're really really good, and I can do a good beef and broccoli. So
That dish is a lot harder than people think, or at least maybe I'm just picky. Like because I've had bad beef and broccoli, it's pretty bad, and I've had good beef and broccoli. But like if it's bad, it can be really bad. But like I think it's just a lot more complicated than people probably think that it really is, and so it's really hard. So if you can master
yeah,
that, that's pretty good.
you got to get the ratios right, and you can't let it get soggy. It's got to have that little crunch. It can't be,
Right, exactly. 1000%. Yeah. Tried enough times in college to do frozen beef and broccoli, and it was just, yeah, worst thing ever. So yeah, never again. But you already mentioned this. So I mean, you met Nick when you were really young, and you guys got married when you were really young. Um, and he spent some time in the Navy, and then you went to work for a construction company, right?
So after I graduated high school, I started to go to community college, and I was working also full time. And then I was actually going to community college, and then I was working in the mall too. So I had like two jobs in school, and then I had met Nick, um, and then I had a scholarship that I had won, and then the money ran out from that, and then I met Nick, and shortly after that we were engaged. And but I was working in a it was a heavy equipment um, rental company, and I was managing the whole office. I was doing all of the invoicing and payables. So, and I was 18,
Hmm.
and thanks it was different because like in high school it was so different then because I knew that not everybody went to college, and it wasn't like my parents had the money to send me, but I took courses in high school, accounting, typing, then a shorthand, uh, business, law in high school. So like I got all these different things that I could actually go work in an office. Working in an office was a very common thing to do. So, but I learned a lot.
Yeah, you got some applicable skills that you could really apply early and stuff. I mean, that's what it's really all about. I mean, do you feel like, because I know, because you didn't finish college, right?
No, no, I started having babies.
Right. Yeah, and I know that that was something that you talked about in an interview I read once. Like it was very important for you and Nick to put Nicholas and Natalie through college and for them to have that college experience. Having seen that from them, like do you feel like you missed out on it? I mean, you obviously do not regret the lovely time with your family and everything like that, but just that college experience. I mean, do you feel like you regretted Did you missed it, or that you missed anything?
Honestly, I don't. I mean, at the time when I was that age, when I was younger, I really would have loved to have had the opportunity. But after I got married and we started our life together and wanting to build it and um, be successful and whatever that would be, um, I sort of my goals changed, and
Mhm.
so that happened. And then it was really a blessing. So when my children both went to college, and Nick also didn't attend college, he went into the military. Um, but we thoroughly enjoyed our children going to college. Like we were the ones in college, like the rah the football game. Like we had that opportunity as adults to enjoy it, and we really truly did. So
Oh,
honestly,
I remember when the school was in town. You guys were decked out. You were ready, and when it came to cheer you on the football team, it was awesome. I loved it. It was great.
yeah, we really did enjoy it very much, and we honestly, I have no regrets. Just grateful that my children had the opportunities that Nick and I didn't have.
That's awesome. I think that's I think as some people become parents, obviously they get like they have the opportunity to see their children do things that they didn't get to do. And I know my own father used to say that all the time, that that was one of his greatest joys, was um seeing his kids do things that he didn't get to do. He did go to college, but like just other things that he didn't get to experience. Like he thought that that was like the greatest, that he thought that that was the greatest gift. He used to talk about that all the time. He thought that was the greatest gift he had ever received, that he could see his children do things that he never was able to in his youth and stuff. So I totally get that. Um, I
Absolutely.
had
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying that I think that for parents, like you want your children to do better than you did, and it's sort of the goal, right? We
Hmm.
want to leave next generation better off than we were. And I don't mean that only materially. I think that legacy that you leave are your values, your morals. You want them to have all the comfort, but more importantly, it's the other. But I'm happy that my children have been able to attain a lot that we weren't able to do.
We'll, we'll get into, you're kind of talking about something that I kind of wanted to touch on. So I'm trying to debate if I wanted to mention it later or now, but I guess I'll talking myself into bringing it up now. I think that what's very interesting about what your and Nick's journey, we're going to get into it at length here in a little bit, but I think um, and Nicholas talked about this when I had the opportunity to interview him, and just what incredible how unique, but what incredible value it was to, they grew up along for the ride. So like they didn't necessarily grow up in the be I mean they did grow up in the business, but like they didn't work the business from the day they were born, like obviously like you and Nick did from scratch 30 plus years ago. But they experienced the growth in the journey as children, and then as young adults now, and then to now working in the company too. So I mean, they got to see it just as, I mean, that's got to be really valuable. I mean, and what I'm saying in comparison, and Nicholas and I talked about this in his interview, was, there's some children that they don't they aren't afforded that luxury or that opportunity to see that. Their parents just built something, and then it's there, or it was their grandparents and it's just there. You know, they got to see it kind of from day one, and I mean, what a beautiful treasure that was to give to your children.
Yeah, I agree. And actually to just to see how the sweat equity that we all put into it. And I mean, they were little, but there was a lot of people, not just Nick and I, his their grandparents, people like Arthur. There's been so many people that have been with us for many years that have put so much love and dedication and sacrifice. And my children have gotten to witness all of that, and they're very appreciative. They don't take anything for granted, thank God. And It's because they've seen it firsthand. And, a lot of times people will say, well, your kids, must have been hard for them. I think that if you ask my son Nicholas or my daughter Natalie, like if they ever felt like, oh, we were working so much, they loved the business. And we brought them along with us everywhere we went. And they felt like, and I've said this before, like the business was like a part of the family, like it was the big brother that they had, because we all tried to nurture it and protect it. And it's what was, supporting not only us but our employees that we have. And
Hmm.
so it was something very important for everyone. And
Right.
my kids loved it, and they wanted to also help when they were able to. Nicholas, for example, that's all he ever wanted to do. Like if he could have skipped college, he would have. He was like, "Why are you sending me to college? What a waste of money."
Um,
But we really wanted him to go.
that's good. Lady, I did want to go back to this question just because I have to know. Um, uh, what was the first date experience with Nick Perdomo? I have to imagine he showed up in a suit, because if he didn't show up in a suit, my entire understanding of the world of Nick Perdomo has just gone out the window. Like if he didn't show up in a suit, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself.
Well, he didn't show up in a suit.
Oh my gosh.
He didn't, but he looked very handsome. And well, the first date, he actually he had like the big. Well, this was 1988, and he had on this polo shirt that he always had the big shoulders. He still has, and he wore nicely, and he had his nice dress pants and his nice shoes and his nice belt, and he drove a red 300 ZX, and
Nice.
picked me up in that. And I was like, wow, that's really nice. And I was just turned 18 when I met him. He was 5 years older. So I was like dating an older man in my world. So
Was he still in the Navy, or had he just gotten out, or?
no, he had just gotten out, and he was starting to work with the Federal Aviation Administration. And he was
Wow.
at the airport, and before he went on to the center. But yeah, he was a trip. We he used to call me from the center on a Sunday night to talk to me, because I lived in Fort Lauderdale and he lived in Miami. So at that time it was long distance. So calling me in Fort Lauderdale was like calling New York. It was expensive.
Oh,
So
okay.
he would call me from work, and then he'd say, yeah, whatever. And he goes, oh, hold on a second. American 300, go fly right, heading 340 or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to let you go. Like you're talking to airplane. How can you do both?
That's a
And
man
he's
who
like,
can handle
oh,
stress right there. That's right. That's how, that, goodness gracious. That's one
yeah.
of the hardest jobs in the world. Like people that do that job are like, they can handle anything. So
Yeah.
it's
And honestly, I think that prepared Nick um, for what he did as, in our business and,
mhm.
manufacturing, growing. So, I mean, we do it all. We do it all. Like, it's very hard for people just to do one of the things. And we do it all as a company. And I think that Nick, uh, being the leader of our business, the visionary, everybody follows to the beat of his drum. And he really sets a wonderful pace for everyone else. And sometimes it feels like it's going too fast, and it's like,
Right.
oh my God, I'm gonna explode, because I'm the kind of person that I'm not like him. I'm very like methodical with what I do, and I can do this and then I do that. But he can do five different things at one time and do them very well. So it's
Well,
interesting.
if you're so methodical the way that you kind of describe, I mean, like the way that I've heard it, when the company started, when Nick decided to go ahead and start making cigars, the way that Nicholas has told the story, Nick's told the story, like you were the only one. You were the only one that believed in him. So how did this methodical methodical young woman say, "Absolutely, Nick, this is what we're doing. Let's go." Like, what made you throw in with them?
Faith and the marriage vows, because I'm gonna get emotional. Sorry. It's because when you marry someone, you tell them you're gonna be there for them. That's pretty much it. But well, I remember him telling me, he said, I'm gonna quit my job as air traffic controller because I can't do both. That was scary because we had a little boy and that's what was paying the bills. And I believed in him. I still do.
I I've never asked Nick this question. I have to, and maybe I will one day. But like and it's great to see like how the family eventually did come around. You know, he tells a story about his dad, like when he sold his millionth cigar, how his dad finally turned around or whatever.
Yeah.
I love that story, but um, I I have to imagine that that support from you very early on is what really kept him going. I don't want to speak for him. I honestly don't. I don't have that right, but like that's that faith that you talk about. I mean that had to be such fuel for him, you know, and his
Yeah,
family, which he talks about.
it was hard, but I believed in God and I believed in him and the vision that he had for our family and for the business. I truly did. And yeah, like I remember times when we didn't have much because when he quit the job and things weren't always easy, people, it's funny, people can see, yeah, we're very successful, thank God today, but it wasn't always that way. It was very hard. We've had struggles, but I don't dwell on them. But when I think about them, I'm so grateful.
Yeah, 30 years is a long time, and that's I mean, you all started in a garage, you know, and 30 years is a long time, but it's also when you look at it, kind of shrink this down. I mean, let's talk about. I mean, I know these are happy tears that you've got right now, Janine, but like think about
Yeah,
like,
grateful
but
tears.
grateful, but like, but also in 30 years, I mean, look what you all have built at the same time. I mean, from going to a garage, him, you know, working part-time and throwing all into this dream, you having the only one to have faith with for him, and then now, I mean, the complete vertical integration in a business that, you know, ebbs and flows with weather, you know? I
Yeah,
mean, and look at our the viewers tonight. I mean, these are parts of your members of your extended family that I mean, what you guys have built in 3+ decades. Yeah, it's a long time, but at the same time, it's a very short time of what some great things that you guys have built together. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Um,
thank you. Yeah, no, but it's true. Like you just said, like when you think of the different obstacles in life, along the way, it's so many between the government and uh, things in the beginning of our business, things that could have, gone south or just different things that anyone who's ever owned a business experiences, meeting payroll and different things like that. But, I believe that with persistence and hard work and just continuing to like just tomorrow's a new day and have the attitude to just continue moving forward and doing the best you can every day and keeping your goal. Like Nick has always kept the goal of making the best cigars in the world,
mhm.
and everyone believes that the same from the top down. And we all take a lot of pride in what we do. And I know that everyone, including all of our staff, feel the same way, regardless of what their position is in the company.
Was he like he talks about he's talked about in the past too, like the way that even the way that you guys manufacture boxes and stuff, because he looked at boxes when he first was starting out and he would notice that the quality was poor and everything like that. Was this uncompromising pursuit of like quality and everything? Obviously, it was there from the very beginning and everything. Did that make it easier or did that make it kind of harder along the way and as you guys kind of grew?
For Nick and the person that he is, he's just always a student. He's always trying to learn and better himself in any way that he can. He never ever what I think really one of Nick's greatest attributes is that he's a good listener. And so in all the errors he made from every aspect of our cigar making, he's made mistakes from the beginning. And everything that he's done, he has learned a way to make it better. And every single trip or, fall that he's had, he said, how can I not let this happen again? How can I make this better? And that way about him has made the business the way that it is today. Because a lot of people cut corners, a lot of people, they try to just get to the end, no matter how it is, even if they compromise quality. Nick has never been that way. He wants to make everything the best that he can in the best way, and he will not compromise one step for anything. So I admire him very much for that because that is really what has steered this ship in the direction that it's at and why our company is one of the most recognized in the world because of his leadership and he's one in a million. There's nobody like
Well, I think you'd probably argue that you're one in a million too. So
him.
probably why you guys make such a good team. Let's let's go back again, Chris. We kind of go, like I said, we're going to be bouncing around a little bit here. Like when I found this story to be interesting. I saw this in an interview that you did was about the name of the company, and I never put two and two together because I remember. I obviously remember starting to smoke Perdomo and stuff. I remember the Nick sticks and things like that, and but it was Nick's cigar company. But before he actually wanted to call it something different, right?
Yes, he did.
But you said
And
no.
I'll never, no, I said no. He wanted to put, his parents had a business years ago and it was called N&M Trucking and it was for Nick and Mary. And he goes, well, let's call it J&N Cigars or N&J Cigars. I forget. And I'm like, well, I like Nick better because, it's mostly men at the time, especially then, smoke cigars and it just sounds masculine. It sounds good. I like Nick cigars. So honestly, the still to this day, the parent company name is Nick Cigar Company, and to this day. And so our
Hmm.
DBA is Perdomo Cigars and Tabacalera Perdomo.
Oh, that's interesting. I had no idea it was
Yeah.
still the parent company. That's cool. Um, nice. Uh, I mean, have you ever had any desire to maybe put your name on a cigar or something like that? Or is it
Oh
still kind of
no,
the same? It's the same thought is kind of carried over all these years.
no. I never a cigar with no. I never. That's never been something that I aspire to have or no, not at all. The only thing that I like to do for me is have these lanceros occasionally made in the factory that Nick hates because it takes away table time from making like Perdomo Reserve Champagne Epicure or Perdomo 30th anniversary. So that's about it.
That's the power you wield. You get to have those made. That's awesome.
That's about
It's great. That's true. Well, I guess you do. I mean, you do have your name on a cigar. It's the Perdomo name, right? So it is your name.
it. Oh yeah,
Something.
that's true.
Um, So I saw this mentioned in the chat, and I thought this would be interesting to kind of go down because I did want to actually ask you about this. But so apparently it was mentioned in the chat. So you are fluent in Spanish, correct?
Yeah, I learned Spanish shortly after getting married to Nick. When he was an air traffic controller and we didn't have children yet, I would take classes at the night school in Miami Springs. And yeah, so I would do a conversation. I'd take him over and over again. And Nick's parents both speak English, or his father's no longer with us, spoke English, but his grandparents didn't. And I really wanted to try to communicate with them. And through the years, I got better. But that was my initial reason, is I wanted to communicate with his grandparents.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome. Did you have any great like any conversations that like I'm sure you had great conversations with you. Is there any ones that like come to mind that were like really, really good
With his
with his
grandparents,
yeah, with his grandparents?
well, they were the nicest people, and very loving and kind to me, and being gringa, which is not Cuban, not Hispanic. They were just so warm and friendly, and I would take the kids, to go visit them when Nick would be, at work or something. And they were just lovely. And just hearing like the stories of his grandfather, and when he was in Cuba, and the things that happened during when Castro came into power. And it was just, it really, you know, for being born in the United States of America and not having to deal with um, those kind of things, at least my generation, but we never dealt with anything to that extreme. It
Mhm.
really made me appreciate even more. And seeing, that's why a lot of people who migrate to this country and come from like communist countries, and they see the opportunity and all the freedom that we have, that sometimes we as Americans can take that for granted. And so it was really beautiful to learn this from his family, because we're American. My Both of my parents were born in this country, and yes, my father served in the military, um, but we didn't have experiences like Nick's dad or grandfather had, or uncle for that matter. They suffered a lot,
Mhm.
and it really was something to learn firsthand. And I never seen people love America and appreciate America so much like they did.
Yeah.
Um, it's
Yeah,
true.
I think that I think that that's what made a lot of things really real for me. Because not understanding it, I'm not Cuban, nor do I have any Cuban family, but I think that that was something that made it real was actually Nick's descriptions of it. And you can see it like Nick has an incredible patriotism for this family. I know him and my I wish my father had had an opportunity to meet Nick. Like I really wish that had happened. And unfortunately I lost him this summer, but the I he's one of the people that I would have loved for my father to meet because like they would have hit it off right off the bat because they both one of the things I really love about Nick that reminded me about my own father was just the unquenchable patriotism that he had for this country. And I know that he got that from his dad. And a lot of that had to do with those experiences. And that's what kind of made it real for me when I heard some of those stories from Nick and stuff. So um as the speaking of his father and as he joined up and started becoming more and more prominent in the business and the business started to grow, what was that like when you all first started to move, like the operation started to move to Nicaragua? Like, what did that mean for you? Like, again, your kids are still young at this point. I mean, how old were Nicholas and Natalie at this point when Nicaraguan operations started?
It was probably around 95.
Okay, so
And
they were still very young.
yeah, they were young. But before we started our business, I used to work for Nick's parents. Nick's dad had a heavy equipment. It's funny because before I met Nick, I worked for a heavy equipment rental company, and that's not how we met. But I had experience in that. And so when I got married and moved to Miami, I worked with his parents. in the office. So I had already worked with Nick's mother and father, um, and then they went into retirement, and then we started our business. And Nick's parents wanted to come out of retirement because they were very hard workers. They were still young, and they wanted to work and help us,
Mhm.
and they enjoyed it very much.
So I think it's, what's really, I think a lot of people don't really know, and I've brought this up a couple of times in previous interviews about like how, Perdomo Cigars is influential in the cigar industry just on its own, right? And what you guys have built as a company. But what you all have done in terms of like helping other brands get started. Jonathan Drew, slept on, your father-in-law's like, you know, floor at one point, I believe, is how the story goes and stuff. And when Dave Garofalo got started and he had cigars, man, you guys, I know you guys still have a great friendship and partnership to this day. So like, I mean, some pretty prominent names have a lot to thank the Perdomo family for. As you guys were growing this and other people started moving in, like, how did that feel knowing that like what y'all had started kind of really started something, not just for you all as a family, but as an industry? I mean, this thing, this Esteli, Nicaragua. I mean, it it was just it was just booming after you guys landed. And I mean, how did that feel knowing that you kind of kickstarted that?
I mean, it's funny. It's sometimes you don't realize the impact that you have. Um, you look back now and you can realizing, wow, that's incredible because in the moment you're just trying to make cigars and help people out and do the right thing. But when you take inventory of those things that you do to help others, which I believe that attitude that we've always had as a company, I've always said our mission statement was and still is the golden rule: do unto others as you want them to do unto you. And my husband has always helped anyone that has needed his help, or he's always been supportive and open book uh, to anyone who wants to know, how to do something better. He helps young people today in the
Mhm.
industry in Nicaragua that ask for his help, and he's willing to do it because unfortunately, when Nick started, he didn't get a lot of help from any of his competitors, but he used to ask questions to some of the old time people who were in the industry that were farmers and people who made boxes and different things. He was always trying to learn whatever he could to just make our product better. But yeah, it's it's very humbling to look back and think we were part, because at that moment you don't realize that you're going to be a part of something like Jonathan's journey. And we remember Jonathan when he was working in the trade center and he was a lawyer, um, CAO, when they needed us to help them with their manufacturing. And I think that we helped them in that time become a bigger company. Um, yeah, just to name a few. But yeah, it's very humbling, and we're very proud to be a part of their success as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I've said this to Nick the first time I interviewed. I think that a lot of people owe 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 it y'all a debt of gratitude for that. If you're a fan of True Estate, then you you got to thank Perdomo for that, because there, a lot of ways that doesn't happen. And then, and Drew Estate spawned other stuff too. So I mean, it all trickles and spans out, and kindness really kind of repay, is repaid and everything. And um Nick still does that. You like, to your point, like, I mean, every time him and I have the opportunity to talk, he always has, I always take something away from our conversation, like really constructive advice, um that just, something that I hadn't thought about. And because he's always thinking, he's always, like, to your point, he's always listening. and he's got now has a ton of experience and understanding of things too. So just kind of a wealth of knowledge that kind of continues to give, which is really fantastic. It's one of the things I really love about him. Um, as the company started to grow, you mentioned this a moment ago, like all the challenges and everything, one of them being government. Um, what always comes to mind to me is 2008, the S chip bill that I mean that had the potential to, I mean, it was still bad, but that had the potential to really completely derail the industry. But things got a little bit better, but it still went into action. Still, you know, still hurt the industry. But you guys made the decision to absorb it. I mean, what kind of went into that? Why was that something you guys were, and you guys still do it to this day? So, I mean, why was that so important for y'all, and what ultimately led to that decision, and why do y'all continue it?
Well, I'll never forget when S chip came to be, and everyone in the industry was very nervous about what that was going to look like, and so imports literally went from 4 cents a cigar to 40 cents. And so we had to, like we always do, and like we always have done, is you have to adjust and make changes to, uh, make everything the best that you can for that situation. And so we ended up making a bonded facility in our warehouse so that we could bring product in and not pay the tax until we drew from it. And that was one of the things we did. And obviously, the other thing that you mentioned was we absorbed the S chip tax by not, a lot of people were raising, a lot of our competitors were raising their prices to compensate for the S chip. So what we did was we absorbed it. We didn't raise our prices, and on our most popular brands, we lowered the price. So what we decided to do, because I don't know if you remember in 2008, it was a very rough time. Obama had just come in, and the economy was not very good. People were struggling.
Yeah, the
So
uh
cigars,
the housing crisis. Yeah, man, everything was it was terrible.
correct. So people, cigars are a luxury. It's not something that you have to have. People enjoy them. So do you need milk or you need a cigar? Obviously, you're going to get your
The,
family
the
milk.
cigar, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, milk. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
you're a kid. No, but anyway, so um, you just, so what we decided to do is concentrate on market share and not profit. And so that's what we did. And I think it was a very wise choice. I believe we were the only company that did that. And I think even today, if you look into humidors and you see the prices of cigars, it still is, it it reiterates itself because the you can't go backwards on pricing. If people are not going to lower their prices, right? Because
Right.
it's just usually not the way things go. But you could see what our cigars are lower than most other people's,
Yeah.
and that's then why.
Hmm.
Because we made that decision in 2008, which I think was very, it was a great decision, but it was a risk at the time because we weren't sure how it was going to go. But the good thing is that our company has never had any debt. Um, and we were good stewards of our money, and we didn't, um, just throw money around. We had, a good, what's the word? It's sort of like we could make that choice where a lot of companies had loans and different things they had to pay and they could not make that choice. So we were very blessed in that sense that we were in a position to make that choice and it
Hmm.
paid off greatly. And we did gain market share and our company did grow very much.
It's I think it's a lesson that you guys continue to teach to your competition but also to the consumers and to your customers at large, all at the same time. But I think it's interesting that um that nobody else takes a cue from it because if you like to your point, you go around the humidor, everybody else's prices have gone up over the years. Um, and or people have started higher than what you guys market at and stuff. And here we have this 30 plus year company that makes incredible cigars and they look phenomenal too. So it's not like when you hear great value price cigars, you think, oh, okay, like cheap this or cheap that or cutting a corner here, cutting a corner there, something like everything from box to cellophane to label, the way it looks, the way it's on the shelf, everything. I mean, it's a phenomenal, process, and I it it's still incredible. I still love it. I still love, like I still love that's how you guys roll with it. And I mean, why people don't take a cue from that, I don't know, but I'm just
Well,
great.
I don't think that honestly they can. I mean, unless they're starting, it's a newer brand and they're but even then, unless they're not doing it all themselves
Yeah, they
and have
can, right?
the, no, I honestly, it's
Yeah.
something that is unique to our business. And I think that, you know, Nick's father had a saying, he said, pigs get slaughtered. Uh, you don't want to overcharge. There's a lot of cigars on the market. They could be great, but they're so highly priced that it's like very unattainable for the average person.
Hmm.
I mean, even it's so funny. Nick and I we know some very wealthy people, and we'll ask them, okay, what is your favorite cigar in the Perdomo line? One guy, he's like a billionaire. Oh, I love Lot 23. You know, like so.
It's a
Honestly,
good
and
cigar.
sometimes, yeah, it is a great cigar, but my point is that people like what they like, and
Hmm.
people aren't just going to throw money away. And we want the smoker to enjoy our cigar every day and feel that they're getting the value, the quality that they deserve.
I feel like such a bougie person, if the billionaire likes Lot 23 and I'm all about the double-aged 12-year vintage Connecticut, I feel like such a snooze.
I'm telling you. And at that time when we asked this, I'm not going to divulge his name, but we had Addition de Silva, which was probably at the time was expensive. But no, and Nick was thinking, oh, he's gonna say Silvio, and it was like lot 23. So
That's funny. That's awesome.
yeah,
Um, just a couple more questions before we get into some fun segments here, Janine. But I really do. This conversation has been fantastic. So we haven't really talked about the kids yet. So now, obviously at this point in the timeline, your kids they're older now. They're going to college. You know, company's had great 10th anniversary success, 20-year success. Now we're working towards 30 years here at this point in the timeline. Nicholas doesn't want to go to college. He just wants to come to work for the company. Y'all convinced him to get his college degree. But that kind of enthusiasm, I mean, that had to be really exciting for you as parents to see that they wanted to be involved in this thing that they saw being built over the years.
it sure was. And yeah, Nicholas was chomping at the bit, like to literally work with us. He worked with us in high school too, doing things in the warehouse and so forth. And Natalie helped out as well. And then Natalie, between when Natalie she graduated from the University of Alabama. She worked in our marketing because her major was in marketing,
Hmm.
and then she took it was just a short span, and then she went into to get her law degree, and then she got married and pregnant, and then she's been busy ever since. But they've always had some
She gave you grandkids
involvement.
though, so I mean, I know Nick's
Oh,
happy
I
with that.
know. Oh, we're both thrilled. I mean, this is our life today. We were like it was like Christmas for Nick and I. We had all three of them with us for lunch, and around each other. No, it's such a blessing, and it's honestly the dessert of life. It's the best part, and we're enjoying it so much.
I told Nick this the last time, and I spoke with him, but I mean, the same goes to you. Grandparent looks great on you guys. Like y'all have just like it's it just looks so good on you all. It's
Oh,
fantastic.
thank you. We
Um,
love it.
it looks so good. Um, to kind of go to back to that. So I know at some point during this, like before Nicholas came into the company and everything like that. I mean, there was an opportunity that Nick looked at for brief moment in time. We don't necessarily have to go into all the details, but everything like there was an opportunity for him to sell the company. Something that he built and everything, and ultimately that didn't happen. And I know you would have supported the decision either way, but when he said, "I'm not doing it after all," I mean, like how how emotional was that for you?
Well, to be honest with you, I when he would ask me what I thought when he was going through this process, I told him, I said, Nick, you've never had to answer to anyone, and you put the most pressure on yourself. Can you imagine what that would be like having a board and all these things in the way that you are? I don't think that you'll be happy. What's the point of having more dollars in your bank account? What more can we have? Like, we're so blessed in what we have. And I think he realized, because it was like an exercise to see the value of the company and then I guess what his end goal was. And I think it was a great exercise for him because he realized that he he was very content with what we have. And the difference is we have an exit strategy, which is our son and our daughter. They will inherit the business and they love the business. Whereas a lot of companies, they don't have that.
Hmm.
They don't have heirs that will they want to continue on. So we feel fully confident that the next generation will be even better than we are. So
That's wonderful. I just curious. There was I what was reading this interview that you did at some point, where you talked about some of the best advice that you had gotten in the industry. Because at one point you were also looking to diversify too, maybe potentially investing money in other businesses and everything. And someone told you, I guess, no, like
yeah,
the the age old adage is don't all put all your eggs in one basket. But apparently that was the advice was, hey, stick to what you know. What I mean, where
exactly.
who gave that advice and why do you think it was so valuable for you all?
It was our dear friend Lonnie Schwartz who's seen us since we were children, basically ourselves in our 20s, starting our business. And there was a time, well, okay, we had some extra money. Like maybe we should invest in this. Maybe we should, you know, create another business because, and then at that time, with the government and taxes and so many anti-smoking things, I was thinking, well, maybe we need to diversify. And I remember sitting with him speaking about it, and he said to me, stick to what you know. You know how to take a dollar and make it two, 100%. Why would you take a chance and do something else when you have a winning formula? Like, and it was right. And he was 100% right. And so we just kept reinvesting in our business that we had built and what was making money. So it to me it was a really good it was really good advice.
Nice. I have a couple last questions to talk about the business, but I wanted to take a quick break and do one of our sponsored segments, and then we'll come back and talk about the last couple questions about just kind of the journey, so to speak, and then we'll wrap up our evening after that and everything. So, this first fun segment is our United Presidential Trivia segment. It's brought to you by United Cigars, featuring La Giana Havana, distributors of Jose Domingos, Bandolero, Garofalo, the Firecracker, and the highly acclaimed Atabey, Byron, and now Alfonso lines from Selected Tobacco. Smoke one today and start living united. Janine, in the year 2000, we just had an election, obviously, in 2000, on Tuesday, but in 2000, there was a Florida was at the epicenter of some pretty big controversy. Not this time around. It was pretty well decided how Florida went. So, but in 2000, it was came down to just a few votes. So, but how many times in the year 2000 was Al Gore declared the winner of Florida? Was it
I
A,
know.
only once, B, twice, or C, Gore was never actually declared the winner of Florida? And I did the little quote fingers for people at home trying to figure out what I'm trying to say. He was declared the winner. He ultimately was not. That's part of history, guys. So there we go. Once, twice, or was he never declared the winner of Florida?
I want to say C, but I don't know that I'm right.
It was actually only once. It was the first
Oh,
time.
he
So
was.
yeah, he was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was only once. And then Bush was declared the winner. Then Gore said he actually gave said, okay, fine, you won. Then he took it back, but after Bush actually took it, the second time, it never went back officially to the Gore side, which was interesting. They stopped counting votes though. They stopped. They had whoever was calling the election at the time. I can't remember who, but they declared Gore the winner, and they were still counting votes, and like all of them, there was like all these votes that were coming in. So
Yeah, that was crazy. That was the hanging chads. That's when we used to go in the booth with these little
right,
cards and
little punch things. Yeah.
yeah, poke holes in the card, and it was the hanging. And I believe I want to say it was like West Palm Beach.
hmm
Uh, was the one. It was the county that was having the most problem.
Yeah, there's these
Um,
photo of like five people looking at an election ballot with all the Chad. Like it was really quite comical. That was the
yeah.
first election I voted in. That was the first
Oh,
presidential
really?
that was the first presidential election I voted in, yeah. So
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was discussing, I think what my son had asked me the other day. And when I turned 18, and I had just met Nick too, it was Dukakis and George Bush Sr. And yeah, that was in 1988.
there you go. Gosh. That yeah, that that wasn't really like a hard fought election either. But
No, but I remember all the jokes. I had this, they had this whole thing with Dukakis and get out of jail free card. Like, there's always some kind of funny thing, and that was the
oh
thing
yeah.
going on. Yeah.
There's something to be said, I think, about names of people or the way like Dukakis. I can't imagine a person being named Dukakis ever being president of the United States. Like I mean that with all respect, and I'm not trying to be sophomoric or immature, but I'm like, no one's gonna, no one's gonna vote for you unless they like know everything about you, and agree with you, you know.
Yeah.
Just you got to kind of rethink some stuff. You know,
Change
it,
your name.
Yeah, exactly. It's like politicians and car dealers. Like those things go hand in hand. You have to have the right kind of name for it. Just it
I
works.
agree.
You know,
Yeah.
my last name, Bear Duplessis. Like I don't think I could ever go into politics. Like no one's ever was everyone's gonna try to figure out how to pronounce it. You know, but
I'd
the
vote
only,
for you. I'd
thank you
vote
very
for you
much. Yeah.
there.
It's the bear, the first name and my beard would probably be the only thing that gets me elected. But Uh, but I appreciate that. That was our presidential trivia segment brought to you by United Cigars featuring La Giana Havana, distributors of Jose Dominguez, Bandolero, Garofalo, and the highly acclaimed Atabey, Barda, and Alfonso lines from Selected Tobacco. Smoke one today and start living united. But coming back to this, we're like the cigar that you're smoking and that I have here, the 30th anniversary cigar. Nick, as we've kind of talked about this. Nick, has had his pulse on everything. He's you and him have built this from the ground up. Every detail, every nuance, he's had his hand in and knowledge of. But this was the project that you both, I guess, had no idea what the devils and the details of or any of it. and we're completely surprised by it. I mean, you walk from your perspective, walk me through that 30th anniversary project and how you got to see it for the first time. And
Yeah, it was quite amazing. Like we literally I Nick had tasted cigars that they were unbanded, and I smoked some cigars. And they were asking, whatever he liked, but he wasn't, he just getting his opinion. But then the packaging, we didn't see any of it. They wouldn't let us. It was so annoying. Like Arthur would be like hiding it, and Nicholas, you got to see this. And so they were just, it was like, come on, guys, let us see it. And they're like, no. And so at the trade show, at the PCA trade show, they and Dave Garofalo was there as well. And we had our team that was there with us, and Nicholas and Arthur presented it to us. And Nick and I were just floored. We just thought it was such a beautiful tribute to our 30 years in business. And what I loved about it the most was the love that was put into it by everyone involved, especially uh, Arthur and Nicholas, because they felt, you know, so much love and respect for Nick and I and what we've been through the last 30 years, and they've seen it and they know all about it, that they wanted to do this for us. And it was very, very humbling. And they did a beautiful job, and the cigars wonderful. And it was touching. It was very touching, and they did a phenomenal job.
that's beautiful. So I know, I mean, I've heard stories about how hard that must have been for Nick. How hard was it for you though? Like, I mean, to not know. I mean, were you anxious in a very excited way, or were you anxious in like I have to know kind of way? Like
I was more anxious in an excited way because I trust fully Arthur and Nicholas. Um, they're good at what they do, and Nicholas called every account that was going to carry it. And they had a plan, and they executed it beautifully. And no, I didn't. It wasn't like I didn't have faith in their ability,
of
and
course
that
not. Yeah.
without, yeah, without
No,
like
you guys have
our,
just done this. This is y'all have done this. Everything has been done by y'all. So like it had, I mean, it's not just different. Like, oh, today we're walking to the office and we're gonna do something different. I mean, like that's completely foreign for y'all. Like, you know,
yeah.
we're gonna release not only a cigar, a major milestone cigar, and we have no idea what's going on with it. I mean I mean just yeah, anxious is the right word. Like it's not like a lack of faith or like, oh,
No.
this is going to be terrible. No, absolutely not. It's just like, well, what are we supposed to do? Like, yeah, I can
You know what
imagine.
it's sort of like? I don't know if you ever watch, or your wife makes you watch the those things with when they renovate a house
Oh, of
and
course.
they take,
Yeah,
and then you see this beautiful, I mean, we weren't renovating it, but then you're so happy and you're like, oh, I can't believe it. It was not to that, but not to make that comparison exactly, but it was so beautiful. There was nothing to critique about it. The cigar is just so well balanced. It just tastes delicious, and its presentation is just second to none. And we won cigar brand of the year actually for the 30th anniversary in Cigar Journal. So we're very, very very appreciative of that. So to get the accolade as well. So and we know that the people love it. So we're just real blessed that everybody is enjoying it. And Arthur and Nicholas did a phenomenal job making it happen.
yeah, it's wonderful. Just wonderful. Um, so I know that you guys enjoy a little bit more travel that you did than you first obviously started off. We're going to talk a little bit about preferred choices of travel here in just a second with our next segment, but I'm curious. I mean, are there any upcoming trips that you guys are looking forward to that aren't business related? You talked about the
Yeah.
concert you went to recently. in Vegas, where you've been, 1,000 times at this point in your career. But
Yes, there are some trips. Nick is gonna be celebrating his 60th birthday, and so in the coming year in 2025, and so we have a cruise with the whole family out of Miami, and we're going to do the Eastern Caribbean. So we're excited about that, and we'll be doing that. And then Nick and I have a river cruise that we're going to do down the Danube.
oh,
So
nice.
yeah, so we're excited about those trips.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, that's great. That's great. I want to look as good as Nick does when I turn 60. I don't know if that's going to happen. Um,
Yeah,
but
he looks hot. He looks really good.
I don't think I'm allowed to say that, Janine, but I hope I look as good as he does when I'm 60. I think I'll just say that. But
But he works, you know what? He really works very hard at it. And like everything he does, he's super disciplined. And when he puts his mind to something, he does it. That's just who he is. And so he loves working out. He's boxing now. He boxes 3 times a week.
oh wow.
And I don't know how he does it. Like he meets with the trainer and they box from 7 to 8 in the morning, 3 days a week, and he really enjoys it. And I just think, how the hell do you get out of bed to beat yourself up? Like I'm like, how do you do this? And he does it, and I admire him because I don't have that in me, but I admire that he enjoys it and he looks fantastic and he likes to lift weights. So he's an animal when it comes to taking care of himself, and he wants to be around for me and the children and the grandkids and enjoy life and what we've built. So he's doing his best to preserve it. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, when I mentioned earlier, like, being a grandparent looks good on you both. And I said the same thing to Alan Rubin too. It seemed like not that y'all never looked old to me, but like you guys have been
love
around for
you.
as long as y'all have been around as long as I've been smoking cigars. So like, and so, but like it's almost like y'all have hit like a fountain of youth though, like kind of a own personal renaissance with yourself. It seems like youth has actually hit you as as you guys have gotten older in the
I
business. It
like
just
that.
feels that. I mean,
It's a
and
cigar.
I'm not, yeah, I guess it is the cigars thing. And I'm not trying to, I'm really not trying to brown nose here, but it really does seem like that this resurgence of energy has kind of hit both of y'all in a really great way.
Yeah.
Not that y'all were ever slow on energy to begin with. It just, it's flattered y'all in a really, really personal way. And I think it's even from an outsider's perspective, they can see that
Oh,
and
thank
so,
you. Well, we honestly, it's sort of like, I think I said it before, it's like having grandchildren is like the dessert of life without the calories. And we just get all the love and the joy. And there's nothing better than having your grandchild tell you they love you and give you a kiss and a hug and want to be with you. And, we love spoiling our grandchildren, our granddaughters. We have three. And we love them so much. They bring so much joy and having those feelings again. You know how it is when you have little ones and that lovey-dovey all the time, and you get to enjoy them, watching them learn things and discover things. It is like you said, it is like a fountain of youth. It is a resurgence of happiness. And I think that it shows when you're happy inside that it comes out, right? And it's reflected on your face.
well, absolutely. Well, I'm gonna find out again, because we're having another kiddo in December.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah, so I'm
Oh, when's the due date? When's the due date?
December 14th. So
Oh, right. Well,
uh,
congrats.
it'll
A
be
girl or a boy?
oh, it's another boy, so it'll be four boys. So four
Wow.
boys. Yeah, so crazy. Loud. We like it loud here. So
Oh, yeah.
the
It's
volume will be high.
busy, busy, busy.
Yeah. We're excited though. We're really pumped about it. So I'm looking
Oh,
forward to it. I've wanted a big family for a long time, so it's a
Oh, God
blessing I
bless
didn't.
you.
It's a blessing I didn't think that was going to happen. So,
Oh,
but life kind of always finds a way, which is great. So,
that is
uh,
awesome.
all right. Well, let's go into the last of our sponsored segments to wrap up our evening. Um, that was, but I just want to say thank you again for the conversation about the journey, Janine, and just every hearing. For years we've heard these wonderful, beautiful, magnificent stories of the Perdomo family, the brands, obviously Nick and his father and everything. And it was always something I wanted to do is just hear it from your perspective because you've been a obviously integral part in it. And it wouldn't be here without you either. So,
Thank you.
and so I'm really grateful for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you for having me.
So this next segment is brought to you by Artista Cigars, which is truly one of the last hidden gems of the Dominican Republic. With nearly 70 years of rolling cigars, the family behind Artista believes in honoring their long-held traditions of handmade artistry. Artista's blends include factory-exclusive tobaccos with front marks for every budget. In fact, Artista Cigars has one of the most varied portfolios on the market today, and there's something for everyone at Artista Cigars. Now, if you're like me and you can never decide on what to smoke, Artista Cigars is a breath of fresh air because you can get something from any box of Artista and that Artista has to offer, and you're getting something truly special. So this segment, Janine, is pretty rapid fire. I'm going to give you a choice of one or two things. Some are cigar related, some are not, some are just time of the year oriented and stuff, and you just pick one and we chat about it a little bit, or it's just kind of rapid fire. So, holiday season, I call Halloween to New Year's the true holiday season. I think most people just say Thanksgiving and Christmas, but I think it's from Halloween to all the way to New Year's. So, between Thanksgiving and New Year's, what's your favorite holiday between those two? No, between those two. Thanksgiving. We'll talk about Christmas in a second. Between Thanksgiving and New Year's Day.
Between those two,
Between those two.
Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving.
Me too. Thanksgiving's so underrated. So underrated. All right.
I love Thanksgiving.
I think the next one's already answered. Christmas or Halloween? You're gonna say Christmas, right?
Yes.
Okay. What's Halloween? What's been Halloween like with the grandkids though? That's had to have been fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, I always enjoyed having, I would invite everybody over for chili. I'd always make chili and we'd all go out. Like when my kids were little, I'd always have a Halloween. I always was looking for an excuse to have all our family over and friends. So I would always do a Halloween party for the kids and the family. So that was like a big thing growing up. And we always enjoyed it. It wasn't like it was spooky. We would just, dress up and enjoy it. We always
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Nice. What's your favorite costume on one of your grandkids so far?
Oh, Stella was Jessie the cowgirl.
Oh, from Toy Story. Toy Story.
Yeah,
Oh my
she was.
God, I bet that was adorable.
It was
Oh,
so cute.
oh my gosh, that's awesome. What's your favorite Christmas tradition?
My favorite Christmas tradition is having. I've always, since Nick and I got married, I've always hosted breakfast, brunch at our house, and I still do it today. And our family's grown, so there's like 30 people at the house, and I look forward to it. And my birthday is Christmas Eve, so it's like I got to get it
Oh
all right.
wow. Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's that's cool.
yeah,
Man, but you're slaving away on your birthday every year. That's crazy, but
it's worth it because the best gift to me is having family together. Honestly.
that's awesome. What's the Janine Perdomo signature dish for this Christmas brunch?
Oh well, my signature dish isn't at my Christmas brunch, but I make every year, and everybody it always goes is my uh, egg casserole. I do this casserole dish with sausage and egg and peppers and onion. It's like this casserole egg dish thing, and everybody just loves it because I do that and bagels, and salmon, cold cut, seafood salad. I do a bunch of stuff.
That's
So
cool.
everybody loves it. Everybody loves it. But my signature dish was a Thanksgiving dish that my daughter now makes, and it is a sweet potato casserole. It's delicious.
Um, that's awesome. My older son discovered sweet potato casserole. I know this is going to make you cringe, but at his school's Thanksgiving lunch, he discovered it, and it was like, Dad, what is this? Why are there marshmallows on the sweet potatoes? I was like, that's how people make it. And he was like, this is delicious. How come you don't do this? I
Dessert.
said, well, I guess I'm doing it this way now. But I said I can try that because he's like, wait, I'm sorry, Dad, your sweet potatoes are really great, but this you didn't tell me you could put marshmallows on it. And I was like, well, you could probably put marshmallows on anything, son. But it was like a mind-blowing moment for him. So I don't know. Does yours have marshmallows or do you do something completely different with it?
Yeah, I do something different. I do, mine has pecans and like a crust,
Ooh,
it's like like with flour and sugar. So it crusts the top and it's sweet, but it's not like marshmallow sweet.
mm,
So it's really good. And my son just told my daughter today we're getting what we're gonna make, what we're gonna make to bring to Nicholas's house, the sides. And so he's like, Natalie, you better be making the sweet potato casserole.
don't
So
mess it up.
yeah, no, she's got it down. She always helped me growing up. When Nicholas and Lauren got married, they wanted to host Thanksgiving, and I love that they're doing that now. It warms my heart that they love doing it. So
That's awesome. It's awesome. Passing on traditions that you've loved over the years. It's got to be really cool.
yes, absolutely.
So do you like to have cigar pre-meal or post-meal?
Um, I pref- I like them both times, honestly, because I do them both. I like it with a cocktail before dinner, but I think that I really enjoy it after dinner, especially a cigar that's a little bit more hefty, a little more strong, uh, like a like a sun-grown wrapper or a Maduro for that matter. I enjoy that. I think it's just a little more satisfying, I would say.
Do you ever smoke while you cook?
I wish I'm the type of person, whether I'm cooking or I'm working, if my hands are busy, no, I don't. I could drink while I cook, but I can't smoke.
Yeah.
And I don't drink at work.
No, I knew what you meant. Yeah, it's fine. That's cool. Okay, so I know you guys have this condo or what I would call an apartment now that y'all
Yeah.
live in. But what would you prefer? Living in a house or do you where you guys live now, like as an apartment? What?
Well, at this stage of our lives, I really love the apartment, and I have it's a beautiful apartment. It has a beautiful table that is was my condition of moving in this apartment. I told Nick, I go, well, the family's growing. I have to have a big table. So we have a big table in the dining room that seats 14.
Well,
And
there you
then
go.
I have another, yeah, and then I have another table in the kitchen that seats 8. So between the two, the 14 plus 8, I can have 22 people sitting at a table. But if I need to bring out any other tables, I'll bring them out. Whatever, the more the merrier. I'll
There you
figure it
go.
out.
Awesome. We talked a little bit about your travels and everything. I know the Caribbean's coming up, and then you've got the Danube. But have you ever traveled to Asia or other than Nicaragua and other places, like any other place in South America for leisure or travel?
Yeah, well, the TA, we were just in Aruba. And the people in Aruba, I have to tell you, were so friendly. They were really nice. And we've been to Argentina. We've been to Ecuador. Trying to think if I'm missing any other ones in South America. We haven't extensively visited South America because also we're concerned of safety, obviously. So we just, have to be careful. But Asia, I've never traveled to. It's funny because we were supposed to go on a trip to Asia on a cruise from, I believe it was Singapore, Tokyo, I forget, and in 2020. And so obviously that got
course.
canceled.
Yeah.
So we haven't gone back. I don't know. One day maybe, but we love going to Italy. We go often. We were there this past year. We were all over Italy. We like Sicily a lot. I love Sicily. My grandmother was born in
I was
Sicily.
going to ask you, is that where your family's from, that part of Italy? Okay. That's
Yeah,
cool.
my grandmother was born there, and Nick really loves Italy as well, and we love Spain. We were in Portugal. Um, we were all over. You know what, one of the places that I really like, and I was reading an article today, and they say it's one of the safest places is Ireland, believe it or not. And the
That's a
Irish
change.
are, oh my gosh, yeah, yeah. And we were in Belfast, and it the people in Ireland are just so friendly and so kind. And honestly, if you ever have the opportunity to go, you want to go in June, where
Hmm.
it's a good time of year to go. But and the landscape is just unbelievably beautiful. And Nick really enjoyed it. He's like, wow, he was just very, not that he was surprised. He likes the people from Ireland, but he didn't realize how wonderful the country was.
Hmm.
It was a beautiful experience. I highly recommend it.
Well, it's quite different than Italy, right? And that's what he's like. He's really grown to love and everything and everything. So it's quite different. So I'm sure. Yeah,
Oh
it's probably
yeah, yeah,
surprising. I
yeah. The
was in.
food's a little different, I have to
Yeah.
say,
Yes, very much so.
but the whiskey was great.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. That was the high point. I was in Scotland last year and I got to visit St. Andrews and the old course and everything and I
Oh
was like
wow,
and I was like I know it's going to happen. I was like I'm going to light up a cigar on St. Andrews golf course. I'm going to take a picture on the bridge, like the famous bridge. And I was like someone's going to catch me. They're going to tell me to throw it out. I'm like I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. And I lit up a 20th Perdomo 20th anniversary Connecticut, and
awesome.
and no, not only did no one tell me to, uh, they didn't care. So I got
Oh
to walk
great.
around. Yeah, I walked around the old course and watched watched some pretty impressive players because they were having an international amateurs championship that week. So I got to
Wow.
see some pretty impressive golfers and smoke a Perdomo cigar at St. Andrews. So I was like, this is pretty amazing. And nobody cared.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's awesome.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
the marshals are smoking cigarettes. So they're like, I was like, I can smoke this. They're like, I don't care. I'm like, all right, cool. Fantastic. So that was really great.
That's great because in Scotland there's a lot of restrictions. I
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah. That's why I was like, there's someone's gonna tell me to chuck this. I know it. And I hate wasting a good cigar, but I was like, I'm not missing the opportunity to get you a great video and to smoke just at least one puff on the old course. Like I'm gonna do this. Like I don't care.
Good
Um,
for you.
but all right. So last couple quick questions of this segment. So these are a little bit deeper. So this, but it's still fun. So would you rather live in a world without poverty or without disease?
Oh wow. Where do you get these questions?
They're up in my head. I have like I can always come up with a question.
Um, I would say I don't know. That's a real difficult one because disease, can you come back? Maybe poverty, we can feed them somehow. I guess disease. I don't even know if that's the right.
It's a tough one, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
God. No one's ever actually asked me the question back.
Because I
I
know that answer is like a very
I
difficult.
honestly I think well, not to put too fine a point on it, I think that people I think if you have your health, you have everything, right? So I think if you live in a world without disease, you know, even if you were poor, you could figure out a way out of it because you had your health.
I agree.
So, so I
Yep.
think I'd have to say without disease. So,
Yeah, I agree.
um, would you rather have the ability to time travel or teleport anywhere you want?
Time travel.
Yeah, me too. That'd be kind of
Time
cool.
travel because I would like to see my dad, like you say, like, stuff like that.
Where else would you time travel to? Okay, you said your dad, but what else? Like, what other time of what other time in history would you like to see?
Oh, wow. Wow. I mean, there's times of history I would love to see, but it would kind of be scary at the same time, right? When you
Right.
think of that, because it's so different than the world that we live in today, but it could be better. Like, I would love to go back to like my parents' generation. I've always had an affinity for that time, but I would like to go back to the beginning of our country and see what it was like. Um, but yeah, I mean, gosh, could you imagine? I really never thought about it, but there's a lot of different times. I like the time of Jesus. I would love to see
Right.
him, like, what he did, and him doing what he did in this earth. There's just a lot of different things that I would love to see um, and witness. When you think about those kind of things, wow, it would be quite amazing to be able to do that, right?
Yeah. I'm just gonna get super deep for a second, but if I went back in time and saw Jesus like walking on water, like I know the story and I know that he did, and I believe that he did, and I'm still like I still question the fact if I actually saw him do it, if I would still believe it. Like I know that's super
Yeah.
deep, but like I know it happened. I believe that it happened. I believe that he did. And if I still saw it with my own eyes, I don't know if I would believe it.
Well, you would have to because you're seeing it with
You
your own
have
eyes.
to, right? You would think so. But
Yeah,
gosh,
I
like
would
it's
say
just
so.
yeah, it's one of those really super deep things. So all
Yeah.
right, cool. Well, that was our artista segment, this or that. We're gonna move on to our everybody eats segment. We've been talking a lot about food tonight. But we've got one question for you too. I think you've kind of already answered a couple of these, so I'm gonna have to change it up a little bit, and that's okay. Everybody Eats is sponsored by Perdomo Cigars. If you always make sure that your servant's towel is bigger than your appetite, everybody will always get theirs. Perdomo Cigars is more than great cigars made by cool people. They embody an attitude of gratitude and grit. With Pastania, everybody eats. So, oh, this one. Oh, yes, I have one. Okay. Um, what is a food or dish that you would not have tried unless were offered to or had been forced to by somebody else?
Oh, I've done that already.
Okay, what was it?
We were in Nick? Where were we at? Nick, Nick, Romania. We were in Romania, and we were at this country club thing that our distributors there had brought us to, and they had this big like appetizer thing, different fried items, and he said, "Oh, this is brain." I'm
Okay.
like, "Wow, that sounds gross." And they go, "It's a delicacy. It's so delicious, and you got to try it." And
Like
so
cow brains
it
or
was
what?
like it was in a ball. It was like
Okay.
it wasn't big, so I'm not sure. I mean, I think it might have been. I'm not sure, but it was safe to eat, obviously.
Sure.
And, but I tell you what, it was not the texture. It was crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. It was just disgusting to me.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Has there ever been an experience like that where you tried to and you liked it and you were surprised by it?
Um, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm the type of person like I'll try anything once as long as I'm not going to get ill. But I'm trying to think what I've had. Like, oh, I think it was in Argentina, and we had what's the thing in Argentina that we had that we ate? Tripe.
Oh yeah.
And I liked it. I liked it. The way they like grilled it or barbecued it or whatever, because they grill everything. It was actually good. And it's
Hmm.
not like I'm going to go order it everywhere I go, but I liked it. I was surprised I actually liked it.
My grandmother had a wonderful menudo recipe, which is Mexican stew essentially. And tripe is a very prominent ingredient in menudo. So yeah,
Oh, really?
so I'm familiar with it. But yeah, when people understand what that is, they're like, "Oh," I'm like, "Yeah, but it's great. Tastes amazing. It's fantastic."
Yeah. You don't want to think about it.
Yeah, you don't want to think about it. It's things like that for sure.
No,
Alrighty.
definitely.
Well, this brings up our next segment, which is our asylum moments. Refuge is more than just a physical place. Sometimes it can be a state of mind. Some of life's greatest reflections can happen in our own personal asylum. Moments like these were made for Asylum Cigars. So light up an asylum and choose your refuge. So Janine, this segment is particular about, and I'm is particular about the fact that cigars obviously are about community. More often than not, you're smoking with Nick, you're smoking at an event, you're smoking your through family, you're constantly around people. But I am curious, and I'm wondering because I know how important those things are to you. But I'm curious, have you ever taken a time or a moment to smoke by yourself? And
Absolutely. Yes.
all right. What's I'm not going to ask you for your favorite time or anything, but what's like a moment that comes to mind like, hey, where you took some time to yourself, had a cigar. What was that moment about? And if you can remember, what were you smoking?
Yeah. A lot of times, like if Nick's on travel, like our nightly, I guess, routine, we would say, is like we meet on the balcony every single night, weather permitting. And we have a cigar together, sometimes coffee, sometimes a little scotch, could be tequila, like depending. Um, and we sit there together and we have our cigar together. But there are times he's out of town, and at the end of the day, I look forward to that moment, even if I'm alone, and I just enjoy it. And I do that quite often. Nick travels quite a bit. Like last week, he was in Mexico. He was doing tours uh, throughout Mexico, and obviously, when they had the election, I was quite happy with the result, and I lit up a cigar and the next day and enjoyed it.
You guys
And
weren't together on election night?
no, and I was
Oh,
he was in Mexico. Can you imagine?
oh man. Well, gosh, I figured you guys would be having a great time on Tuesday night
Oh
together. And you
yeah,
guys were apart. That
uh,
stinks. That
yeah, it
stinks.
stinks. But you know what? It was all good. It was all good.
You voted early, right, Nick? You still voted though, right?
Oh yeah, no, oh no, no, no. We voted early voting. We went together and we casted our vote, and yeah, we were very. I mean, look, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, it was. I mean, it was a mandate. He won overwhelmingly, and I think people want to see a change, and I'm excited about what he's going to do for our country and for the future generations. I think he's going to turn the ship in the right direction and close our borders. And, I respect everyone's opinion, and people should respect mine and whoever else feels differently. So I think if we could get to that place as Americans where we can respect each other and want the best for our country, I think it, our country will be a better place. And I think
Mhm.
Trump being in office brings strength to the world and stability. And I mean, we see that it's happening. And we need to, as Americans, pray, pray for our country, pray for our president, and pray for peace. So that's the most important thing is that we have stability and we're safe as Americans.
Yeah, we were explaining this to our kids, right? About election like stuff and so my son actually asked a really important question. He's like, why are there two people running for president? It's like, oh, that's a great question. He's like, well,
Uh,
they want to be president, they want to do things for our country. And like, well, who's right? And I was like, I said, I said, that's the great thing about this country, son, is that they both want what's best for this country. They just disagree on how they want to accomplish it.
Correct.
And I said, as citizens, we can agree or disagree with them, and we can vote for who we think we agree with more. And yeah, he just thought that that was the greatest thing ever. And I was like, yep, it's pretty awesome. America's pretty
It
great.
is awesome. It is awesome. And we live in the greatest country in the world. And I'm just so grateful that Trump is our president, personally.
Well, I'm sorry you guys didn't get to celebrate it together.
Yeah,
That's
well, we've
regret.
been celebrating ever since, so don't worry.
All right. Well, this is our last question of the evening. So, thank you so much for your time, for the entire Perdomo Army who joined us live on our podcast. Thanks to Nick for joining us out on the balcony as well, and for all the whole family and everything. Just all the support and everything has just been fantastic, and this has just been a wonderful conversation. I'm so grateful for the time and the opportunity to spend with you, Janine. So thank you so much. This
Thank
is
you.
our Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust curveball segments. Fastballs or curveballs, it doesn't matter since the company's in section. Steve Sock has been knocking them out of the park. Count them up. 9 consecutive years in the consensus top three. Congratulations to our good friend, Mr. Steve Saka. So, Janine, this is about kind of turning the tables and just kind of having some fun with a little bit of a little bit of a curveball question. So, um, we talked a little bit about the very beginning and why you were so supportive of Nick and this decision and everything. Um, how can you going back and all the going back and looking back at all the experiences that you've had and everything like that? And you mentioned like you guys have really enjoyed travel and you guys enjoy scotch and wine and stuff like that. If looking back on everything just for fun, have you ever thought about would it be and going back to Lonnie's advice of sticking with what you know, but is there anything like you kind of have dabbled with in your head like that would have been really cool if we had done that too?
Honestly, um, not really. I don't have any like, oh gosh, we could do this too, or like I would like to expend, on something else. Like there are things that I like other than what we do. Like I love organizing parties. I like party planning. I like doing that kind of thing. And people that have been to parties that I've organized, they're like, "Oh, you should get in party planning," for example. But I mean, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, after doing this for 30 plus years, I mean, can you imagine doing, I mean, you can't imagine doing anything else, right? I mean, at this
No,
point.
honestly, yeah, like to your point, like I can't imagine anything, and we love what we do. I mean, we love so much what we do that um, I'm not saying I wouldn't be fulfilled doing anything else, but I just love when like if you're happy with what you're doing, why would you do something else if you're happy or content with what you're doing? We just want to keep growing our business and building the brand. Maybe there's something to building the brand, like with certain accessories and so forth. Maybe there's something there that would be related, but maybe a little different other than a cigar. Maybe that would be something.
You guys do make some pretty cool lighters, so I will say
Yeah,
that.
well, yeah, we find some neat accessories, and I patented the mug. I didn't think that would ever get patented, that little handle on
Hmm.
the mug, but I have a design patent on it.
That's cool. Man, those are great
Yeah,
too. I forgot about those.
yeah, yeah, they're pretty neat. So that was sort of like it came to me when I was just watching people on social media taking pictures of their cigars and like coffee, for example, and where they placed the cigar. And so I go, wow, it'd be neat if there was like a little place on the mug. And so I went at the time, we had a graphic designer in the office, and he did the sketch. He drew it up, and we submitted it. We got our lawyers, and it got approved. They go, I don't know if this will get approved, so that's why you only see it on ours, because
There you go.
it would have been definitely replicated by now.
That's cool though. That's fun stuff.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that you had to get a trademark. That's cool.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
what what so kind of looking forward a generation here, like, you know, your granddaughters grow up and they want to be a part of this business. I know that that would just make you ecstatic. I know you'd be really happy with it, but I mean, what would that, I mean, it's kind of hard to imagine for something that hasn't happened yet, but I mean, how would that feel to see a third generation jump into something that you started with Nick in your garage 30 plus years ago? This would obviously be 20 or 30 years more down the line, but I mean, how incredible would that feel?
That would actually be like that would be amazing to see our grandkids be involved. But as we told our children, and we told them from the time they could understand, that we we just wanted them to blaze their own trail and do what made them happy, whatever that would be. They did not have to come into the business. We always told them. And I think that sometimes, like, you see these wonderful companies that are built, and then they have children, but they don't want to be in the business. Um, but we never put the pressure on them. And I think that they just, they loved it as we did. Because it wasn't just what we were doing. I think it's the culture of what we do. I think
Yeah,
it's easy to fall in love with our industry. And I, I mean, I fell in love with the industry. I mean, I honestly did. And in those beginning years where, I mean, we still work a lot, but like we were like, there was no time of working. It was every day, all the time. But I never felt like I was working because I
mhm.
loved so much what I did, and so did Nick. And we did everything. Like in the very beginning, we were doing everything from boxing cigars and putting the bands on, and like everything that we did it all.
What
So
what
we
made you
loved it.
fall in love with it though? Because like I've heard that, like we've heard that from other generations too. Like, oh, I never, from some kids are like, oh, I was never forced to do this. That's just something I wanted and stuff like that. So there's obviously something attractive about it. But you yourself said you fell in love with it too. What was the pull? Was it the day in day out of working side by side with your husband? Or was it something a little bit more majestic than that?
No, but I do think it was part of it. I loved working together with my husband, uh, because we did. I mean, we like working together. We're different. We're on different. We don't sit next to each other. We're on different sides of the office. We always, I make lunch for him and Nicholas every day. But yeah, like that's part of it. But I think the love comes from, the passion for what you're doing, and we just love what we do. We love the whole idea of making something,
Yeah,
like when you think of a cigar and all that goes into it, and from the seed, like, and just picking the right seed. Have you been down to our factory tour, Bear?
no, no, I have not. This is something that everyone keeps telling me I need to do it. It needs to
Oh
happen.
my, you must go. You have
But
to go. You're
I'm
personally
going to come
invited.
with like four empty notebooks, and I'm told that that's not enough. So I'm going to have to bring some more. But I'm excited about it.
But you have to go, and just from every single facet, it's just so rewarding. I guess part of the love is the reward of the satisfaction that you have. I mean, regardless of what you do in the industry, I think that whether it's in sales, manufacturing, whatever the case may be, whatever part it is that you are of this beautiful industry, it's just it's just you feel part of something bigger than yourself that brings so much joy to so many people. And it's just I feel honored to be a part of it. Like Nick always says, he says, people are always happy to see me. Like they're just, it's just such a beautiful, it's a beautiful industry. It's a celebratory industry because of what we sell. And the history of cigars in general. Like I don't know, and tobacco in general. Like what a commodity it was back in the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it's just the history of it too. It I'm not Cuban, but I mean, Nick's the history in Cuba. Just there's so many facets to it that just make me excited about it. I just love what we do. Honestly, I just love it. I can't imagine doing anything else.
That's awesome. Well, Janine, thank you so much. This was an unbelievable conversation. I really, really appreciate the time, um, and the opportunity to, and it just, and it was a huge blessing. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry I got emotional. I try my best not. That's why I don't like to talk about certain things, but
Well,
I
make
hope
you
that
feel
it.
better. You're not the first one to do it.
Oh, good.
So,
That's good because
so
Nick
this is
never does it.
this is emotional, Janine. I mean, this is your family, and it's your family's legacy, and this is your literal blood, sweat, and tears of the last 30 plus years. And yeah, I mean, how could you not be emotional? I get emotional about it. Like I said, and I said this to him too. Like you said, Nick doesn't like to get emotional, but he got emotional during the hand roll documentary when he did
That's
the
right.
interview, and
Yep.
uh, and my only experiences with Nick at that point is just the impression that I think that he gives most people, and just and I was like I started crying, so
Yeah.
I mean this is more than just cigars. It just is. And there's a lot of people in my life that don't understand. They're like, why do you do it, Bear? And I'm like, it's that. It's this. It's these conversations. It's these stories. They're incredibly fascinating and they're incredible. They are incredible and they deserve to be told. Um,
I,
and
yeah. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Of course, absolutely. Yes. Thank you. So, thanks to our audience, the Perdomo Army, for showing up. I really do appreciate y'all you as well. Appreciate all those likes, shares, and comments. Keep them coming. You can check out our YouTube channel, which is brought to you by Foundation Cigars. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the little bell too. That way, you get a notification when the next conversation pops up. Also, you can check us out on Facebook every Sunday night. We usually broadcast at 9:30 Central. Tonight, we started a little bit early, which is totally fine. We had a great conversation with Janine, so you can always check us out on our Facebook page as well. Or if you're listening to us later on via podcast, whether that be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Tonight's audio broadcast is brought to you by Grand Habano Cigars, honest, compassionate, great cigars. Be sure you download, subscribe, and review today. If you already are a subscriber, do me a favor, hit unsubscribe. But actually, don't forget to hit resubscribe. That actually helps my numbers. And if you are going to leave a 1-star review, make sure you leave feedback and tell me why I'm terrible. Um, Otherwise, there's just no point, and you're just being mean. So to the last guy who actually gave me a 1-star review and said it's because my audio levels were terrible, that was constructive criticism, and it's something that we're working on. I've only done 312 of these. You got to understand, guys, it's all about improvement every single time we do this. So but we really do appreciate it, everybody, guys. The support's been phenomenal. We have some great partners and we have some great opportunities to speak with amazing people like our guest tonight, Janine Perdomo. So without further ado, uh, I'm Bear Duplessis live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star studio of Azle, Texas. This was our 312th take. She's Janine Perdomo, everybody. And guess what, everybody? We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Good night. Thanks for listening in.